Okay, so my friend sent in a Xbox 360 controller for me to take a look at. Um, this was actually my old Xbox 360 wireless controller, and I passed it off to him because I have had a bit too many, so that he could, play games with us with the controller and whatnot. But being a controller that was almost 1 decade old, like 10 years, Xbox 360, when it launched, it I guess the analog stick started to drift a little bit, and so he tried to replace the analog stick by himself, but in the process he ended up stripping some pads of the board here, and I've already taken a look at this, and I've actually already replaced a one of the pads. So I've replaced one of the grounding pads here, but I have left two pads here to replace, and one of them looks like a much easier replacement because that one is a ground. That pad used to be a ground pad, but this one right here is did not used to be a ground pad. It used to be something else. So what I'm gonna do first is see if I can scratch a bit of that solder mask off from the top one, because I need a little bit more solder mask here, like exposed copper. I'm just using my standard hobby knife, craft knife, whatever, box cutters to just scratch away at that solder mask. Just a little bit's good enough for me. I've already scratched the solder mask of this one, but I can kind of clean it up a little bit. Kind of like it if it's a little bit more tidy, so I'm just gonna do just that. So I'm just gonna move across like that on this copper piece, like so. He couldn't tell that the traces were completely ripped off at all because the board beneath it is obviously brown, like the fiberglass board is brown, and he couldn't tell the difference between the two. So it is what it is. I'm gonna cut myself. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, oh my god. I meant it as if I am going to cut some copper strips. Yes, that is the correct way to say it. Oh my god. I'm gonna cut some copper strips to replace these, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut them lengthwise first. Actually, this is kind of widthwise, but whatever. Alright, I've got a strip of copper right here, and I'm just gonna try and see if I can measure this and see how much I need. What if I got a piece which is too thick? Oh, that's definitely too thick. Okay, so I'm gonna have to trim this down a little bit. And what I do is I would place them. I don't have a proper board holder, so that's a problem as well. So that's perfect. I'm gonna have to secure it in place, but for now I'll leave it there. And I'll need to start working on the other one. The other one's a little bit tricky because I have to kind of make one which extends a little bit, while at the same time being long. So I'm gonna try bringing this in sideways. I'm gonna bring this closer to me because it's a bit difficult working so far away. You can kind of hear my phone going off at the side there. Yeah, kind of like that. But I will need to cut you about here. lengthwise, I will need to cut you till about here. And here. Cool. Let me just mark this a little bit more. Can't really see it. Alright, for this one I think I might do it under the microscope because it's really difficult to look at. Really difficult to look at. Get rid of this. And cut you like so. Perfect. And then cut you lengthwise. It should be about here. Perfect. Now cut you here. Perfect. Okay. Let me just isolate that. Wonderful. That thickness right there. It's only slightly thicker than the head of my tweezers. Extremely microscopic. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this first. Put it to one side. And I'm going to put some silicone adhesive down at the bottom here. I've already cleaned this area up a little bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some silicone adhesive there. This is the kinds which are used for working with electronic components. So it's heat resistant. It's very heat resistant, up to like 200 over Celsius, I think. And it's clear. I'm just going to put a little bit of it on, just to help with the bond, and then I'm also going to put some solder mask on it. And that looks perfect. Now I'm going to place these pads on. First the top one. But it probably doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just placing that in place. Like so. I'm just going to use this to press down on it. My little spatula. Because the copper pieces were a little bit bent upwards, so that helps them to kind of flatten down a little bit. I'm going to do a bit of adjustment right here. This one's a bit upwards for my liking. Probably going to need to scratch a little bit more solder mask here as well. This one as well. I'm going to push it down a little bit. Like so. That looks perfect. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do now is make sure that these joints here are not covered by my silicone. Just gonna give it a little bit of a scratchy scratch, you know what I mean? Just clear out that excess. The reason why I'm clearing them is also because I want to make sure that these solder joints here will adhere properly. This one I'm not so worried because this one's all the way here. But what I'm gonna do is do a little bit of scratchy scratch for this guy. Okay, so right now, next stage, let's put on some solder mask. I'm just using some generic stuff. I've went through this before, the kind of stuff that I'm using in one of my previous videos where I did the mouse repair. And again, this is just the cheapest stuff I could find online, but I found that it works, so I'm not particularly fussed, if you know what I mean. Like, if it works, it works, you know? Don't need fancy gear. So I've just got a little bit of a drop here. I think even that drop's a little bit too big, so I'm just gonna make it smaller even. I need it really microscopic, because I don't want to flood the place. I just want to touch it and build some mask there. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go bake it now, and it's gonna take, well, it doesn't actually take 15 minutes, but I'm gonna leave it for 15 minutes under a UV light, and we'll be back after. So we can see that the solder mask has dried up, and this is not going anywhere. That's wonderful. That's not going anywhere as well. Wunderbar. And that, okay. So now comes the time where I will need to solder these two together. I'm just getting rid of a bit of this solder mask down the bottom here. Alright, so let's actually affix these points on. So I'm going to turn on my soldering iron. I have my iron set to about, what is this, 275, 280. Not the highest, but you know, good enough. Put some solder flux there. Right here, 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 here. Basically, as Alex from Northridge Fix also says, I also like watching his videos. You can never have too much flux. You can never use too much flux. I'm, however, gonna go very easy on the joints here, because I don't like to beat up my solder balls. And my style is a little bit different from his in that I prefer to use solder on my iron rather than to bring the solder here. Oh, shoot. Took the whole pad with me. Alright. Gotta bring it back down. It's a little bit of a solder mask from earlier. Just causing a bit of problem. There we go. Alright, that looks like it's making a connection. That's not moving anymore. That's great. Yeah, I'm gonna do a continuity test as well to see if we did our job properly. Right, let me get my tester. And we will see if these are working as intended. So the first one should be to ground. So since that top leg right there is also ground, I'm gonna put that there. Perfect, we have a connection. As for this one, let's follow it. Okay, so it comes up to about here before it goes under. So let me see if I can tear that. There we go. Can't see it, but I kind of had to twist the thing a bit to get a bit of a connection with my right one. There we go. Because the solder mask was covering the joint. So on both counts, we have a good connection. So all we need to do now is close this up. I'm going to adjust this a little bit more. Like, I don't care if this one's making a good connection, as long as either one of these sides is making a good connection. Then what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to use solder mask to secure it in place. And for this part, I don't mind using a little bit more solder mask than I normally would. Okay, that looks good. So I am going to clear this one as well. Let me get that out of the way. Yar. All right, so what I'm going to do now is set it to cure again. And then we can finally get to soldering legs back. Yeah, that's fine. I can work with that. Alright, so let's start to put it back together, shall we? So I've got the replacement. What was that? Oh, it's a screw. Oh, scheiße. I think it's a screw for this one. Yeah, it's a screw for this. Alright, toss it back in. Let's stick it in. So again, my style, I don't really like to use new solder. I want to recycle old solder. So I'm going to do just that. My iron should be more than ready. Cool. So let's start with this leg top here. Perfect. I'm gonna need more for that. That's done. Gonna need more for that as well. That's done. That's done. That's done. Oop. Kind of added a little bit here. Oops a daisy. That doesn't matter. Camera's a bit out of focus. There we go. Trying to get some to stick to the iron. Not sticking enough. There we go. Got a nice healthy blob right there. Cool. My blob's getting too small almost, so I might need to grab more. Cool. Cool. Yeah, that looks fine. Cool. 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 And last one. Oh, got a little bit of a hole there on the left. Cool. That looks good. I'm happy with them. So let's clean up and do some testing, shall we? First thing we're gonna want to do, continuity test. So as we mentioned before, this should be ground. So this one right here should be ground. Perfect. And this guy is connected here, as you can tell. So I'm gonna poke there and touch here. There we go. So that should be perfectly fixed. I will be right back. I will assemble this and I will test it and I'll let you guys know. And as you can tell, I've got the controller right in front of me and I'm testing it in a bit of Neo. And the right analog stick, which is the one we touched, works. I can look up and down, I can turn, I can run around, I can run. Yeah. All buttons should be working. Yep. Looks good. Alright, so I think that's about it. I can throw smoke bombs, I can cast skills on myself. Alright. So, oh! Whoa! Camera went a bit crazy right there. What in the world was that? But basically you can tell it should be perfectly working now. So that's pretty much it for this video. I've actually taken the controller apart again because, well, the friend which I did this repair for, he said he would like to kind of put it back together himself, solder some parts together himself. He just wanted that bit fixed. And I guess he kind of wants to see what I did to get it working. So, to each their own. He likes it, so I don't mind. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, this is a rather unorthodox piece of material on my channel. I mean, I really love doing these kinds of repair videos. I understand that not a lot of people may like it, but you know what? I like it. And I thought that I'd share what I like with you guys. So yeah, like if you like it. Share if you found it useful, cool, interesting, maybe. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified for any new content. And yeah,
My name is Yang, the tech rodent, and I don't know if I don't post anything else for the next for this month. Then happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys in 2022, where hopefully things have gotten a bit better. We all kind of want it to. I'll see you guys around.